Alright, so let's get started and let's create this iOS app. So the very first thing which I did is just open a blank Adobe XD new file, and then we're going to go over here on artboard, and we're going to select one of these iPhone artboards. It really doesn't matter all that much the one which you select because the principles are going to be the same, but for this specific case we're going to go with iPhone X and XS. So let's go ahead here and let's start creating the very first screen, which is going to be pretty much an onboarding screen. So I'm going to start using some text such as let's get started. And for this specific tutorial, we're going to use the free Google web font called Montserrat. So we're just gonna go here. We're gonna start typing in Montserrat. And by the way, if you don't have it, you can simply go on fonts.google.com and then you can search for Montserrat inside of it, or you can simply go on Google and search for Montserrat. So just like this, and you're going to find it right away. So just click over here, click on download family, and there you go. So let's get started with this. Let's get started text, and we're going to duplicate this. We're going to make both of these text darker, so a tint around these lines. We're also going to make it smaller right here, and let's add some lipsum text. So in this case I have this software which is called Atex, which enables me to add some random text pretty fast, but any text will do. You can even copy and paste it from an online resource, or you can just make it up. It's totally fine. Cool. So let's make this a little bit bigger, and we're also going to use the grids. So let's just select the artboard. We're going to click on grid. We're going to select a 2 columns layout, and we're also going to decrease the width here on the margins. Yep. So something around these lines, which is going to help us to create the base structure and organize the layout whenever needed. Cool. So let's select this. Let's center it. Center this one again. And actually, let's go with just 2 lines of text so that it's not really all that visually overwhelming, if you wish. And now the next thing that we're gonna do is we're going to create 2 ellipses, which are going to be our navigation. So let's duplicate this once, then twice, and there you go. Maybe just a little bit bigger. Yep, that will do. We also need to consider that we're doing a mobile design, so we need to like adjust these in order to make them easy to view on mobile. Maybe let's just keep this here for now, and I'm probably going to add some sort of iconography, or we're going to explore some illustrations, but let's just keep it like this for now. And we're going to make these blue. Let's remove the border that we added, and for the time being I'm also going to I want to remove the grid, but I will uncheck it so that I can focus on the visual design, and then we're going to probably bring it up again whenever it's needed. Cool. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we're going to add some social buttons. So let's just go ahead and do that. And for this case, I actually do need the grid. As you can see, the grid is going to be useful whenever we need to create specific elements which are organized specifically in the layout. So cool. At this point, I don't really need it anymore. So let's just uncheck it again. How it's selected. Cool. So over here, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to create a little bit of roundedness to these buttons. I'm also going to apply a fill color, which is probably going to be around the tint of the blue, be something around these lines. So it won't be a full gray, it will be something which kind of like stands in the middle. So all right, now let's duplicate this again. Let's bring this up. We're going to write continue with Facebook, because everybody is using Facebook nowadays, and we're going to use a icon management software for the icons, which is called Nucleo. So you can simply go on nucleoapp.com, download it for free, and you're going to be able to have the Google Material icons, and you can easily drag and drop them, as you're going to see in just one moment. So let's go back here, and now that I have open Nucleo, I'm going to go under Material Icons, and as you can see, we can't find the social icons right here. I do have them in Nucleo, so for the time being, let's just use these icons right here. And you can download the source file, and you can just copy these icons from the source file, so that you're going to have them exactly as you see them right here. We're going to leverage the Google Material icons for other parts of the project, but for the time being, just for the social icons, let's keep it like this. And then we're going to duplicate this button, and we're going to also search for the Google icon. And let's go with the colored version, because I mean, it looks really good. And by the way, if you want to find these icons on the web, usually you can simply search for example, Facebook SVG icon. If you search for queries like this, usually you will be able to find them quite easily. As you can see, there's like many websites which have the Facebook SVG icons for free download most of the times, and the same is true for the Google one. And this is something that you're probably going to do quite often in your design career, so it's a lot of it's definitely something which can be useful at times. So all right, let's bring this Google icon right here, continue with Google, and we're going to have one more, and in this case we will leverage the Google Material icons. Let's go here on Google Material, I'm going to write emo, and there isn't the emo for some reason. Oh, because I selected colors. As you can see, I need to go over here and write male, and I'm going to find the icon which I was searching for. Perfect. So yeah, we also have this icon right here, and I'm going to use these guidelines strategically in order to find the right one. And the very last thing that I'm gonna do is actually go back into Nucleo, Facebook, and I'm going to go with the colored version, or actually let's just add this one, and I'm going to use the same color as this icon for the background. All right, so essentially we can have a blue background, and let's go over here, let's make this one white, let's make this one continue with emo, and let's go ahead and let's just make this one a border instead of a fill. Let's go ahead here, let's enter this border value 1.5, And maybe let's make the fill just a little bit less pronounced. And we are in business. Perfect. I think so far so good with this these elements. And I guess the very next thing that we'd want is some sort of iconography or image right here. And for the time being, we're going to go and leverage another resource, which is the illustration from MIT. Which is called Undraw. Or actually, I could have just gone on undraw.co. Please do that, since it's way easier than going and typing it in. So as you can see, we have quite a few illustrations, and let's just have a look around and let's see which one we would ideally want for a screen like this. So the logic is to find a screen which is going to, or an illustration which is going to be in line with getting started, an onboarding phase. So probably something around these lines, but what we want is also an illustration that doesn't have a lot of width. So, but probably this one is actually pretty good. So let's give it a shot. But even before we do that, as you can see, all of these illustrations have these purple colors, and we can actually change the color from here. So let's do just that. Let's just click on this rectangle, and let's extract the hex code so that we can copy and paste it in Undraw. Alright, so I just reloaded the page, and as you can see now it's working perfectly fine. And now what I'm gonna do is I'm going to simply copy and paste the same blue color which I have in the actual canvas, and we're probably going to go with a different type of illustration. I think something around these lines could work pretty well. So let's just select it, and let's download the SVG. Alright, let's click on allow. And now what we're gonna do is we're simply going to take the download and we're going to paste it right here, make it smaller, and let's go ahead and let's just bring this one here again, make it a little bit smaller. Probably going to bring these buttons a little bit below, and let's also bring these other elements right below, and let's center this in the artboard. Perfect. So far so good. Another thing I want to do is to maybe just add a little bit of more spacing here, and also want to group these buttons. So this is going to be called Facebook, and I'm going to group this one here, which is going to we call it Google, and this one here as well, which is going to be the email. I'm going to rename this to illustration, and this is starting to look pretty good. All right, so we essentially got the first screen. Now we want to move on and create the second screen. I'm also going to rename this artboard, and I'm going to simply create a duplicate by using Command C and Command V. I'm going to rename this to artboard number 2. Let's remove this illustration for the time being, and let's bring all of these to the top. Now I'm also going to add a text, which is going to be hello Mark Atkins, and let's also make this one lighter. and add a little bit of more spacing vertically. Yep, that will do. Perfect. Now let's go back to the grids. Let's activate them. Let's bring this one to the very left. Let's make these ones also go to the left. And what we're gonna do now is we're going to copy and paste this outside of the Google button. We're going to start creating some different buttons. So this one here, and we're also going to have an extra one which is going to protrude outside, and let's distribute it like this. Perfect. So one thing that I'm gonna do is I'm going to bring all of this above, and I'm going to select a specific time frame. So this is going to be Tuesday. Let's bring it up. Let's make this one to the very right. It's going to be centered Wednesday, and so on. So let's go ahead here and let's select this color. Let's make this one all white for differentiation purposes. We're also going to have a to-do list right here. Also going to duplicate this, and we're going to make it cover the entire width. So let's say that we have a Dr. John appointment, and we're going to add also a time below. So this is going to be around the 23rd of July 2028. So far ahead if you're watching this video next to the time of recording, or not too far ahead if you're watching this in the future. So all right, let's go back to Nucleo, and let's select Google material icon, and let's write in time. Yeah, I think this stopwatch would be good, but probably let's go with this icon right here. Oops, as you can see, I just copied in the so let's just bring this one outside, and let's add it afterwards. Cool. So far so good. And now what we're gonna do is we're going to add some sort of a check mark on the right. Let's make it full white. Let's also give it a radius of 500, something crazy like that, and let's make this one 31 by 31 so that we have a perfect circle. You could have also opted for creating a circle, but in this case this also worked pretty well, so why not trying different ways to achieve the same result. There's many instances in this software where you can actually create all sorts of different things and variations to achieve the very same result, so definitely keep it in mind. You have a lot of options. Cool. Now let's go ahead and let's remove the grid for a moment so we can have a bird's eye view on the project. Now I think I'm liking this, how it's going, but the grid that we selected at the start isn't really making me fall in love with the entire design. So one thing I want to do is to select both artboards turn on the grid and decrease a little bit the distance between the left and the right borders, just a bit. And now we're simply going to go ahead and adapt the design based on this new grid decision which we just made. So let's make these ones just a little bit smaller, and it's just about like making these adjustments. We're probably just going to get rid of the other one. We're just going to go with these ones right here, so we can perfectly stay in line with this section. Bring it here, a bit more on the left, and the same is true for these guys right here. So as you can see, even if we do even if we change our minds when it comes to the grids, it's not really a big deal, because we can always go ahead and just tweak it afterwards. So you definitely have flexibility when it comes to those elements. Now another thing that we're gonna do is we're going to bring all of this down, so we can have some sort of a description below this second item, which is going to be team meeting with blue dogs. Just making up these terms, but 24th. All right, so far so good. And we're also going to just add some random text, so feel free to just add some random text over here, and just like this. We're going to make it 200, so we can actually see what's going on. And I'm just going to remove all of this stuff and probably make it 1 point smaller instead of regular. Let's try and go with light. Maybe make these ones a little bit with less line height. Yep, that will do. Perfect. So far so good. I'm going to simply group these two. And as you can see, we have all of these elements crafted in a pretty easy and nice way. So this is going to be some items which are important, and it's going to be pay taxes, because taxes are always important to be paid on time. 27th of July 2028, and we're going to make this one red, so that we're going to have more emphasis on this element right here. Now let's probably go ahead and let's try and make this one also in a different color. Let's see if we like it. Actually, let's go ahead and let's remove the grid. Not too fond about the entire border being colored. But one thing that we can do in order to make it different is to add a drop shadow. So we're just going to add a blur, which is quite prominent, and we're just going to dial down the shadow intensity to 11%. So we can still have quite a bit of visual differentiation right here in these elements. Cool, and I'm probably going to want to try it also with the elements above. So I'm just going to go and click on copy, select both of them, paste appearance, and boom. I think this is looking pretty good. So we're probably going to just leave it as this. And now let's add some dots free menu. Sometimes you just need to kind of look around for, I'm 100% sure there are three dots. I just can't think of the exact terms and word to actually find those. But one thing that we can definitely do is to leverage the three dots which we created previously, and we can hack our way around it. So let's just do it like this, bring it vertically, and now I want to select each and every one of these dots. So I'm gonna go inside the group, remove the border, change the fill to this fairy color right here, and again remove the border, and we pretty much have what we were looking for. Just a little bit smaller, and I'm going to give it just a bit of more more color, since these are quite important. All right, I'm gonna put them on the very right. These are going to serve us as extra elements. Now, one thing that I'm not really a big fan of is the color of these clocks. So I'm probably going to use the same color as the three dots. Yeah, this is already looking better. Maybe let's bring these ones a little bit on the right. Perfect. Now let's also add some icons right here. So I'm going to have a check icon, and also a, see what's there for important. Error. Yeah, maybe that will work. Perfect. So we're just gonna go and add this icon next to the to-do, and we're going to bring the to-do right here. So also the important, and let's give it the same color as the clocks. All right, cool. This is looking pretty nice. And let's also bring here for reference this icon, and let's change the color of the icon. Perfect. So far so good. Now we just need the very last step, which is essentially going to be the menu on the bottom, which is going to have a series of icons. The first one being is the home icon. Then we're going to have a add, which is going to be this one here, and also a settings. All right. I'm actually wondering if we might want some more icons, but let's just give it a try with these for now. All right. So we're going to make the home screen and also the settings, or actually the home icon and the settings icon smaller. And let's bring this one to the very right, this one to the very left. Then what we're gonna do is we're going to use Shift plus the right arrow button 1, 2, 3 times. 1, 2, 3 times. Perfect. Let's center align this, and what we're gonna do is we're going to add the same fill right here, and over here we're going to add this fill from the dots and also the other elements. Cool. So far this is looking pretty nice. I'm actually wondering if it would be better to just group this and add a drop shadow, which is going to have the same tint, and let's just add quite a bit of blur. Let's give it a Y option of 0. And as you can see, there is this color inside the plus, but we're not really liking it all that much. So what we're gonna do is we're going to create an oval, and going to remove the border, and we're going to put it below the plus. Actually, this for some reason this is not working out, so let's just do one thing. I'm just going to get rid of the shadow right here, and I'm going to select this ellipse, bring it up, make a cover, bring it below, and I'm going to paste the appearance. So that essentially the ellipse is going to give us the shadow effect that we're looking for. And yeah, by doing this we managed to achieve both our goals. Let's group this, and all right, so far this is looking pretty good. Let's create a line, maybe to divide the menu, the bottom menu from the top section. And let's make this one 0.5. Don't want to have it to have all that emphasis specifically on those elements. Maybe let's make the plus just a little bit bigger. All right, so far so good. Now we're going to rename all of these and organize the layers inside. So as you can see, we have the illustration at the top, then we'll need these two right below. You kind of want to maintain an order from top to bottom. We're going to have these dots. It's going to be renamed to dot, dot, and dot. Perfect. Let's bring them here. Then we're going to have Facebook. Oops. We just need to bring it right here, down. Facebook, Google, and email. So this one is pretty much cleaned up. Now let's go ahead over here, and this one is a little bit more. There's a little bit of more cleaning to do. It's going to be called a divider, and let's select these two elements, or actually let's select all of these rectangles, and let's just clean up the naming. So I'm just double clicking on all of this and going one by one. I'm going to select this, rename it to Tuesday. Select this, rename it, rename it to Wednesday. All right, so far so good. It's going to be to do, and we're just going to rename this as the icons. Actually, let's do one thing. Let's just ungroup all of this. And this is going to be check. It's going to be dots. Perfect. So the dots, we're going to bring them on the top. Then we have all of these doctor appointments. It's going to be time. Or actually, there's only one doctor appointment, but yeah, let's just bring it all together. It's going to be a 1. This is going to be called 2. We have the important. Let's rename this let's group it and call it free. Oops, and let's go ahead here, name this to do, rename this to important. All right, it's going to be the home. This is the plus, and the settings. Now this section is going to be the menu, which we're going to locate at the very bottom. Here we have the different elements. Important should be here. Have the days. So let's group these. And we're pretty much good to go. So we are finally at the very end. Now, one more thing that we can consider doing is actually, if you prefer a gradient when it comes to these colors, you can actually go ahead and give it a try. And maybe you can keep something around these lines, so it's going to be a little bit more dynamic, visually speaking. And you can simply try different type of gradients and effects. Now, one thing that I'm gonna do over here is I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to just paste it in all of these other elements right here. So we're going to achieve the exact same gradient effect, and I can do this also in the illustration, of course. So this is pretty much covered. All right, so we managed to get to the very end. So congratulations for following along and completing this 2 iOS screens with me.